What are you at, boys? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Tales with TR. Where are we now? Where are we now in the episodes? 57A. Here we go. It's great to be with you guys and girls. And let me tell you a little story. Okay, let me tell you a little story. And then next week, we're going to get back. We're going to have some guests. Some guests. We're going to have one fucking guest. But we're going to get back to to normal. Thanks for bearing with me once again and listening to my voice solo, rambling into the microphone head. But I have to tell you this story because, well, what is it? Like in a karmic or pay it forward sense, or I feel the duty to tell this story. And I think you know where I'm going with it. But here we go. So, my good friend Joe Dolo, obviously, most of you know, is my defense partner in the TV show Shoresy. I play Hitch and he plays Dolo. Now, Dolo is originally Jonathan Diaby. I mean, he is Jonathan Diaby. They're one and the same. So when we started Shoresy, and I forget why he goes with Dolo. So Dolo's, first of all, a great hockey player, like a real good hockey player. If he'd kept playing, I mean, I really believe in my heart he'd have played a little bit, at least in the NHL. He's a big, tall guy, really mobile, tough, pretty smart offensively. I'll tell you Dolo's numbers in major junior, man. He got drafted third round in Nashville. A lot of people are surprised when they watch Shoresy that I'm even a hockey player. But Dolo, right? No one expects it because he's acting, and then he's a rapper, he's a performer. So they don't realize how good of a hockey player he was, and he stopped playing really early, like after his first contract. I mean, like what, like 6'4", 220. Here it is. Let's see. Yeah, man. Victoriaville, 4 years, right? Fucking 67 games, 26 points, 117 minutes. Fuck, next game, 38 games, 80 minutes. 38 games, 28 points, 80 minutes. Right? Like this guy's a good fucking hockey player. Third round, 64th overall. And then, played a full season, well, a lot, almost two full seasons in the American Hockey League, in the Coast. Had a lot of talent. What's it? So, 6'5", 220. Not that matters to this story. I'm just telling you, like, a background. We go in and we're playing together. Very first thing we did in Shoresy when we got there, Jared and the stunt guys had us go in a week or two early, as much to meet the guys. The girls came in a little bit early, but we had to go on ice, and we do kind of practice what we're gonna, the scenes that you see. I mean, it's all real hockey players, it's all real hockey, but we have to have an idea because there's cameras and a lot of nuances to what goes on the actual film day. A lot of prep, a lot of people, a lot of crew. With the placement of the fans, just there's a whole lot that goes into all of it. So you like to get there and have an idea. But Jared, I think that first year, as I recall, had us in there even a little bit earlier than normal. I think he wanted to see, like, he knew that we could skate, but there was people like, I don't want to mention the name, but the first guy who played fish got cut. I know that, and I think there was. I'd never say his name. I wish the guy luck. I kind of felt bad for him, but he must have like fibbed a little bit on his resume, because it says to you. I mean, I've done it before, right? You go in and fill out your stunt form, and I've often, and it'll say like, what are you a specialist in, right? So I'll go hockey. Now, I guess any sport I played, say if it said skateboarding, I would never put that down because I don't know how to skateboard at all. But boxing, right? I'd put boxing in. Now, am I a boxer? No. I think if I, if there's a stunt, and I've done it on Little Dog. So when I got the role, I will, well, usually the people with the show will help you with that. But, I called my buddy who's an actual boxer, and, he helped me a little bit, tell me a little bit what I needed. I watched some direction on YouTube just to have a little bit of an idea about boxing, know the different kinds of gloves, just a little tiny bit when I show up. But hockey, it's not that easy because you got to know how to skate and you got to go out there and you're going to look out of place right away. So we were doing like pretty normal drills for us, but for someone that couldn't skate, so if hockey, so we're going, okay, let's go couple of lines here. Let's just do a couple of line rushes. So dump it in, Dolo. You get it up to T-bone. Break out the gyms or whatever, and then you guys come back in 3-on-2, right? An easy drill that you've probably done if you've played Bantam All-Star. And then maybe an add a back checker or something. Be a little bit creative. We've done it a ton. This guy couldn't keep up with the play. I mean, he couldn't pass the puck like without, he was holding his stick wrong and everything. I felt really bad. I was also thinking, really, really thirsty. So anyway, that happened. So we get to know each other a little bit. I don't know why I told that part of the story, but Dolo and I, that's the first that we ever met. Now, he did play in the queue with some people I know from Newfoundland, namely a guy named Brandon Hines, great sniper. Hines, he could really score well, he can score anywhere, but in junior, he had I think he had almost 60 goals in the queue. So, and I know Hines from the West Coast. I mean, we're not best buddies or anything, but, it was a talking point. So Dolo and I hung out. We had lunch that first day. Goody came with us, Andrew Ansonen. I believe maybe even a couple more of the guys, but I just remember this specifically because it was the day I met Dolo and I felt a vibe. And I'm really into music, and I don't think he realized that. I didn't realize he was such a great hockey player, and he definitely didn't realize I was into a lot of music. And it just so happens a lot of things that we both listened to. And no, it wasn't all rap. Dolo's pretty well rounded and knows, I was playing pretty much everything because I do. I mean, I always mix it up for the room.
Hmm.
And, he was pretty much vibing with everything I was laying down. And I do a couple bands I really like that Dolo likes in the hip hop world, like a Tribe Called Quest, for example. And I would be playing that. Little things. So, it started there, but I just felt a positive vibe. And then we all got put in the same hotel, and Dolo, Goody, and I, and the gyms, we were all fairly close. We're in the same hotel always. So, you go to enough meals and tell enough stories, and you're on set. You got to have each other's back. A couple days. God, the worst day I remember going in, and I got my days mixed up, and we had one of these like 30 pagers. I was like, oh fuck, and it's gonna look like I'm unprepared. And I always like the least I can do is know my lines. And we really do have each other's back in that on the show. Very fucking rarely will we go in and not know our lines. I don't remember it happening much, but that's another great thing about being in the same hotel and taking the same transport to and from, for example. And we do a lot of things in Capriol, which is Sudbury, but it's very outskirts. Like it's a half hour from our hotel. So, being in the same hotel, we get the same ride. We go over our lines together, often the night before in a room, or if we got something big coming up, we'll remind each other. So that part's awesome. And because the alternative, I've been on other shows, they might get you a nice Airbnb somewhere or not the same hotel, and there's not as much of a vibe, but we're always together, right? And Dolo and I are deep partners, and we're literally, man, I can only think of like one or two outlying scenes that I haven't been in with Dolo and Goody for that matter. I keep saying Dolo because I think you guys know where this story is going. But yeah, Goody's he's in most of the scenes with us. I mean, it's not like we're not friends with the gyms. The boys are fucking some of my best friends in the world, but they're not in all the scenes with us, right? They're not even all. Sometimes a full week will go by and they'll be in our hotel, but they'll be leaving as we're coming back, and because we're not part of the same workday. Well, we're part of the same workday, but we're not on the same set. Anyway, we got to know each other pretty well, and Dolo and I now have been in some awesome cities that offer great hockey and great music. What we're both into: Chicago, Detroit. Are you kidding me? Right? And we got to go in Dolo's, and and we went to Chicago, of course, and Buffalo, and Boston, Montreal, Toronto. Came to Newfoundland. Like we really hit it off, and there's a vibe, and you have a lot in common. Respect each other. Hit the Montreal Jazz Fest a couple of years ago. So you got it, and we're hockey players. It's no joke. Like on the show, they're watching the Blueberry Bulldogs. We are the Blueberry Bulldogs. We're friends. Where there's no acting to this, and everything you see on screen. We're all actual hockey players. Even Ryan McDonald, McD, Michaels. Feel bad that because he's not a goalie, but he can skate pretty good. Like he's not a professional like we are, but when we go play these games, like he's totally sufficient out there. Like he can play. I don't know where he stopped playing, like midget double A or something, but like he's an okay player. He does not make us look bad, but in goal he's not a goalie. I feel bad for him because he's back there. I mean he plays Michael's just awesome. I mean he's a trained actor as well. I think you can tell that some of us. I mean I'm proud of the work we've done. But if you watch that show from the beginning, I think you'd say, okay, these Tassia, for example, and Ryan McDonald. To take nothing away from everybody else, but of the main characters, I think they would be probably the most accomplished. They've been acting for the longest and probably have resumes that are inflated compared to all of ours. I'm not putting us down. I'm saying these people have been trained actors for a long time. So I really, really respect Michaels and Tassie, and we're all friends. But getting back to the story, the majority of the time that I'm in Sudbury, not a day would go by that I wouldn't at least see Dolo. And usually that leads to, I don't like I said, a dinner, at least a conversation or rehearsing or whatever. So the years went by, and I've mentioned a few times that I wanted a motorbike, and I don't want a crotch rocket. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, my buddies had dirt bikes growing up, so I technically I know how to drive one. Although I'm taking my license in a couple of weeks in June, so I know that part of it. And I would be talking about, and not that I'm getting a dirt bike, but I didn't want for speed. So I kept saying, I just want to kind of cruise out there. I live in an awesome spot in Newfoundland. Like I could just drive around the city, and I got the coastline, and I really, really don't. I don't want this for the highway. I'm sure sometimes if I get to point A to point B, I'll be safe about it, but I'm not doing it for that reason at all. In fact, I will probably avoid. But if you've been to St. John's, like, long highway stretches, but if you've been to St. John's, let alone Newfoundland in general, so beautiful. But if you've been to St. John's even, you could do city driving. You could go to St. Thomas Line, just around Portugal Cove, Pooch Cove. You come back around Tor Bay, Logie Bay, Middle Cove, right back into St. John's. And that is an absolutely beautiful ride, right? I've done it on my electric fucking bike. And I'm out there on my electric bike like a madman. Like I don't go out into the traffic, mind you. I'm not one of those bikers that thinks he's a fucking car. Yeah, but a lot of I find bikers like pick, go on the road or stay off the road. But people are weaving in and out, and I don't know. But I do. I speed around whatever trails, and the odd time you're on the ride, and I don't wear a helmet. Like I'm chucking, man. I'm going 40 odd kilometers an hour on that thing if I'm going a kilometer. So not of course if there's people around, but anyway, I'm saying that I drive the electric bike anyway. So I would really enjoy. I mean, I'd enjoy, yeah. And I was thinking, that, to start with something like a Yamaha 250 or 300 or something, not too powerful. But I was talking about, and I remember Dolo. So about 3 or 4 months ago, this being now, towards the end of May, I guess 2 months ago, we were on set, and I set Dolo up with a couple of these Hockey Helps the Homeless fundraisers, events, performance, shows. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we help each other out. Okay. So Dolo had booked this Harley Davidson burnout competition, which happened just a few days ago, but he booked it like a couple of months ago. And he asked me to be in it. And I had no business judging a Harley competition. I've never owned a Harley. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about bikes, not like a bike enthusiast would. I do know how to drive one, although I'm going to wait and take my license. I'm taking a safety course. And, I fucking know the difference between certain types of bikes. Enough to know that I wanted a cruiser type thing. So, but it's funny because as he was saying this, the very, very same day, okay, I was talking to some people that run some events that wanted us. And I said, I go to a lot of these events and people love, the banter, and we end up raising a lot of money. And most questions are about Shoresy. And I said, I'm to the people that were, setting these things up. That very day that he booked that Harley thing, I said, like if I'm in a room with Andre Waugh and Matthew Barnaby and Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmore and these legends of the fucking game, Brad May, I mean, these guys are idols of mine, and I'm going first or second in the draft in that group. That's Ted Hitchcock. That's not TR, right? That's Ted Hitchcock. There's no world that my hockey playing self gets drafted at these events ahead of those people. The reason is because they want to hear stories, and most of these stories they want to hear about Shoresy, one of the most popular shows I'm so proud to be a part of, right? I'm really, really proud of that, and it's a great thing because we have a platform because of it. But TR, the hockey player, I don't mind saying it. I say it humbly and honestly and logically. I'm not going ahead of these guys when Wendell Clark and Andre Wan, these guys are in the room that have Stanley Cups, that have Hall of Fame careers. Not all of them. Andre doesn't, but you know what I'm saying? Brad May, fucking Bernie Nichols and Ali Afraidy and all these things. And we go around and we raise a lot of money. But So a lot of these events, technically, I think you have to play in the NHL because it's set up by the NHL alumni. I don't know many ever that you haven't, but I've been on them. I'm saying, look, Dolo's been drafted to the NHL. He didn't technically play a game in the NHL, but I know he's going to raise a lot of money. He's going to be center of attention. A lot of kids are going to be, looking up to him. A lot of teams are going to want to bounce questions off of him. And again, he played a lot of hockey, man. Like people relate to hockey. It's not necessarily the NHL. They might look up to their heroes in the NHL, but Dolo is one of their heroes from TV, and he's a hockey player, and he got drafted to the NHL anyway. Yada 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 yada. So he ended up. We booked him for a couple of these things, and then that very day he asked me to do the Harley event. What I'm saying is that there's something to that. Now, his latest single is called Karma, which is wild because that's a little bit of karma going on. If the story ended there, it would be, oh wow, like you got me a gig, I got you a gig without even really trying. It's not like I was trying to scratch his back, he was scratching mine. It just happened that day. So anyway, we got talking. Now, unbeknownst to me, we got upset. And I remember Dolo kept asking me, he's like, because you're going to be safe with this, right? Like, and I had no idea that what was about to happen was even remotely a possibility. So I'm like, yeah, fuck, I promise you, man. Jesus, I would have had one by now. I said, I'm getting one in my fucking 40s. So it's not like I'm 20 and I want to speed around. I'm not even really wanting to do it with anybody. I just want to fucking cruise. I like being outdoors. I think I could handle I'm responsible enough that I could drive a nice cruiser motorbike, and I'd really enjoy it. And I fucking love the look of Harleys, especially the soft tail cruiser type. So we come here to Newfoundland. Another event gets booked. We come here to Newfoundland. So what I'm saying is like 2 months go by. This is just last week. And Dolo comes over and we do Hockey Helps the Homeless here, and we raise almost, I think, $90,000. We had a great time. He met all my friends. He booked another gig here later in the summer. And it just, like you talk karma, like this was just a positive vibe, right? And I really, like, Dolo is one of my best friends in the world, and I wanted him to, and most of my best friends in the world are right here on the Rock, right? That's why I keep coming back. I mean, it's not just Penny Lane. I know people see me travel a lot, and it would probably be more convenient for me travel-wise to live in Toronto or Montreal, a hub kind of in the center of Canada, of North America, of hockey events and whatnot that I'm traveling to, especially when I have to go out west, which is coming up on the 23rd, Calgary Alzheimer's tournament. I'm a Newfoundlander, born and bred. I'll be one till I die, right? In the words of Shanny Ganuk. And Mark Hiscock, who just passed away. Mark Hiscock. I'll break down that song and a little bit about Shanniganuk next podcast. Mark deserves it, and they do as well. Great Newfoundland band. And he was a really proud Newfoundlander. That I don't. Every time I came across Mark, he treated me. He treated me really well. I laugh because we were always like, I didn't know him really well, but whenever I ran into him, it was like. It was like we hadn't seen each other, and we just picked up the conversation. He would often talk about hockey, and he'd go, well, they didn't do it again last night. Like, and I haven't seen him for like 4 years, like just run into him at the fucking line and getting a sandwich or something. And yes, well, I mean, I don't know, they lost 3 in a row again. And I'm going, geez, you talk about the Leafs or the Habs, right? So in those words, the Islanders, the name of that song, I'm a Newfoundlander, born and bred. I'll be one till I die. I'm proud to be an Islander, and here's the reason why. I'm free as the wind and the winds that wash the sand. There's no place I would rather be than here in Newfoundland. So that's really the way I think a lot of the time. And I've met friends from all over the world, but I wouldn't come all the way back to the furthest easterly point in all of North America, which is just down the road, if I didn't love my friends and everything. So it was awesome to see. And by extension, Brian McGrattan is a good friend of mine. He came over, and Mike Krushelniski and Paul is a friend. Paul McLean, an acquaintance. I just met him recently, but seems like a great guy. McGrattan and Dolo are close to me, and especially Dolo. So we're coming back. So we're at Hockey Helps the Homeless, and we screwed up our flights too. Like it was like the Thursday, and we were leaving on Friday, but we thought we were leaving at 4:00 p.m. And while we were out, so the Hockey Helps the Homeless, 10 a.m. it started, I think, 9 or 10 a.m., and we went till about 1 or 2. You play 3 exhibition games with your friends or the people who draft you, and then everybody kind of goes out after for a drink or whatever. or whatever you're into. So it was awesome. Dolo played one night, and then we were down to Greensleeves, and we were all together, man. I was three sheets to the wind. I was dancing, I was singing, I was having such a great time. Rocked. I'm managing my buzz really well, but still pretty fucking lit. Look down, Dolo. We're leaving at fucking 8 o'clock a.m. For fuck's sakes. What a circus. I had to call my neighbor Lucy to come pack my bag for me. That's how fucked up I was. Like, I didn't want to, I mean, I could tell the difference between jeans and shorts, but I just mean I didn't have the presence of mind to pack what I needed to go to Sudbury, where we were doing the Harley Davidson event the next day. So we get on the plane. Now Dolo knows what's going to happen. I don't fucking know what's going to happen, of course. But it's awesome because I say to him, I'm like, it's wild that your latest fucking single is called Karma. Because I said, look, it's great. Like they listened. You're into these events. And when I say they, it wasn't just Hockey Helps the Homeless. Dolo and I mean, Goody set me up with an event in Northwest Territories. Dolo and Goody are coming over to PEI. Dolo's fucking had me open a forum at his shows. I think we were in Boston, and I kind of opened the show and introduced them onto the stage thing. And we all work together. It's a vibe, right? We all work together. So I'm telling them that. I'm going, you came over, you met all my buddies. I didn't even know you a few years ago. You're going to come back because he's booked to do another event or two here. I said, it's wild, and Dolo's going on tour soon. Seriously, a fucking wicked tour throughout Canada, I believe. And I couldn't be any more proud of him. And I said, you've come a long way, and this really is karma. Like, you've done so much for me, and I'm glad you could come over here, and I appreciate you. And now, we're gonna do a lot more events, and we're gonna make a little bit of money and make people who need it a lot more money. I go, what is the fucking definition of karma if that's not it? And we were about to get on the plane, like hungover. He goes, oh brother, you have no idea. Wait, you just wait till later today. And I'm like, okay, because I was like, well, we're going back to Sudbury, right? Like, right back to our old stomping grounds, right? Like, it's as if we never left. Because we were there just like I said, not long ago, shooting season 5, which is where I mentioned the bike, and which was where Dolo went and preset this day that we were about to have. So we land, and the airport in Sudbury is probably, I think it's in Garson. It's probably a half hour away from where we were staying downtown. And so we get to the Airbnb that we're staying at. And thanks a lot, Amy Reese, by the way. They put us at a fucking awesome spot. Like, I mean, huge house that I could only be too happy to call my own one day, or someone like that. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful house right up on a hill that I didn't even realize was there, overlooking Sudbury, and the hot tub. Real beautiful place. Anyway, we get there, and Dolo says, I gotta go grab something for you. He didn't even say present or gift or anything. He said, hey, I just got to go do something, and I got something to come back for you. I said, I really, really thought, I fucking swear, I said on the video that I posted, a ham sandwich, but really, I thought it was something like that. I thought he was going to get food, or come back with maybe a Harley t-shirt. I mean, with the event we were doing for Harley was the next day, right? And Blair Lamora plays Zeke. She came in for it from Vancouver, and Kiso. But Dolo and I were staying in the place together. So anyway, we landed, and he just we got to the hotel, or our Airbnb, and he leaves, and he's gone for like better part of an hour. I got myself ready, and I was honestly, I was walking down to the Laughing Buddha. And I said, fuck it, he'll just meet me, and he's probably got some food coming back, but I'm just going to sit down. We were really close. I mean, it was a kilometer walk. It was a nice fucking day. So I went down, and I went to walk down. I figured I'll sit on a patio and wait for Dolo. Here he comes wheeling back, and he's on a motorbike. Again, I'm thinking maybe it's one that he just bought. It's one that we got for the promo the next day. I mean, there's a lot of nice Harleys there. I'm going to say like 200 maybe. And I still didn't think anything of it. And he pulls in the driveway in this fucking beautiful, beautiful blue Softail Heritage Classic 2006 in fucking immaculate condition. a fucking antique of well, not quite 20 years old. I said antique, kidding, but I mean really. I think what's an antique over 20 years? This thing is fucking unbelievable. It's the nicest. And I told him the weirdest thing was 2 days before that, when we were in St. John's, I'm walking down the street. We're walking down together on Water Street in St. John's, Newfoundland. And there's an area there, those from here, the Water Street area where the bikes are, kind of in front. Is it the Governor? Is that what it is? And then you go down from that a little bit, and it's where Johnny Rockets used to be, and or Rocket Bakery, sorry, and a few more things. And there's a bunch of bikes there, not necessarily like bikers, but there's on a nice day, a lot of cool bikes are in that area. So we walked by, and I pointed one out, and it was a red version of this, nearly exactly the same bike. So we were walking down in Water Street, and I remember him saying, "No shit, that's the one you like?" I go, "Fucking rights, I love it." Meanwhile, he already had one bought for me. So he pulls into the driveway, and he says, "Hey, here you go." And I'm going, "What? What the fuck are you talking about? What?" I said, "Well, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?" And I said, "What do you mean? Is this mine for like the day? Like, because I don't have a license yet." Now he knew that I was taking my license. So it's not like he gave me the bike and I said, "Oh, I'm panicking. I got to go get my license." He knew that because we were talking on set, and I said, I'm going to do it in the summer anyway, take safety lessons, get my license so I have it. It's also good um, for stunts too, right? Not that I'm going to do like motorcycle stunts I just mean like actually being able to just ride one, point A to point B. There was once I was doing a movie and I didn't feel confident enough because I said I know how to ride motorbikes, but I'm like, fuck, I haven't done it in 20 years. I'm not. Had I just known, had I had a license, I would have, like, it's quote unquote stunt, but it's not really. It's just driving the fucking bike from straight line down the street that day, and I missed out on a couple of grand. So I'm like, it can never really hurt me. Or when you land and those of you that have traveled abroad, and sometimes like you need a license to drive a scooter, or there's motorbikes available, and so I'm like, it can't hurt. It's like learning French or something. It can't hurt. I guess learning French, you can't wrap your head around a pole, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to drive this thing safe. Point is, I was taking the less, my license was going to happen anyway, and he knew that. So he pulls in. Anyway, man, I don't know what to do. I was in shock. I was almost in shock for the whole time. Now just think about that, because it wasn't I couldn't believe it. I was like, what just happened? And when I was at the event the next day, I'm stunned. Like Kiso was even like, we can buy you that bike? And I'm going, yeah, like, and I didn't go snooping or anything, but like Amy was there when she goes like, I didn't give this to you as a promo because you have, like, I wouldn't have expected that. But she's like, no, like, just so you know, like Dolo got you this bike. Like this wasn't like thrown in, and people were nice to, you know, to give you this bike for the promotion or whatever. She goes like, Dolo did this. Dolo got you this bike on his own with us having nothing to do with it. And I'm like, what a guy. And it's just so, I mean, really, like, I can't now, I don't base, nor should anyone really base friends on materialistic things, like if they give you items, because that could lead to a slippery slope of, like, everybody's seen it in grade 9 or 10 or 11. Some people try to buy friends or something. I remember seeing that. And in the NHL, I remember, hard to navigate because some people, they want a piece of you, and you don't know who's really your friends and who's not. And you can't start judging based on what people give you. But in this case, Dolan and I have hit it off. Karma has been up the yin yang for the last 3 years. Love each other's company. He's always going to be my friend. And it's always, Dolan and I are pretty honest with each other. It's not, I like that about him too. And there's been a few times on set over the years that I'm not going to say we argue, but he'll point something out, and I'm like, you know what, you're right there. Yeah, I'm not saying we argue, but he calls me fucking out when I'm about to do something stupid, or I already have, or an ignorant comment or whatever. Like he'll call me out. We don't just stroke fucking each other. It's not all, and I like that about him too. He'll call your bluff. So to do that again, we'll talk about the materialistic part of it, but I still think it's the nicest gesture it's not like Dolo's got $100 million. I really don't know, and I'm assuming he's doing well, decent. Like I am. A few years ago, I was probably I was in a much worse place than I am now, but I'm certainly no millionaire. I don't know in Dolo's case, but I know that that's not just a drop in the bucket. That's a significant thing that he did for me. And it's funny that since that happened that morning when we were on the plane and I was about to get my Harley that I didn't know, I got a text, and it was from people at the committee here that really thought that we and he specifically did an awesome job because Dolo had never done one of these before. I won't say who, but when I was on the plane, another organization sent me a note and said, "Hey, I just saw Dolo. How did it go?" And I'm like, "It went really well." And Dolo not only performed, but told some great stories. Hung out. The team that drafted him loved him. It went well, and he was like, "Well, keep that in mind. We're going to use him." So, like, I'm not saying it was tit for tat because I didn't buy him something like that, but indirectly, getting him involved. And then I'm on the plane looking down, going, he's going to get a few more gigs, which is, I'm not going to say how much money, but it's a decent little payday. And he gives me a fucking Harley that day. So, Karma, right? Karma, his fucking latest single, is on full display. And not only that, his single that's about to come out is called January 14th, and that's my birthday. He didn't even realize that. I mean, I don't know when his birthday is. He's a good friend. I'm bad for birthdays. I know he knew it was like around then because we celebrated it once or twice. He didn't know it was January 14th specifically. I'll have him on here, which is my plan anyway, pretty soon, and ask him all that about his latest music. Now, his fucking music is great too, by the way. Now, my favorite song by Dolo is "Feel Blessed" because I think that really fits a theme of him and I and the show that we're on. And I'm not religious, but I'm not afraid to see. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an atheist, and I often say that to people, so I can feel blessed. Right? I don't want to get deep into it. I can feel blessed without believing in fucking Noah had two of everything on a fucking ark, right? I can believe that. And I always have. And karma, there you go. It's more along, I think everything's connected, whatever, maybe the Buddhist mantra. I really don't know. But as I'm not searching for spirituality, but I am spiritual. Now, it might be coming back here and putting on a Beatles album or a fucking Mazzy Star album or a Louis Armstrong album, smoking half a joint, turning off all the lights, closing my eyes, and fucking being appreciative of where I am in life and thinking and reflecting on that. Now, I'm not reflecting to a God, but I know that there's something maybe otherworldly that I'm searching for, or indirectly, or a spirituality, a connected feeling with the earth and something more important and bigger than me. I understand all of it. I do. And it's funny because through Dolo's music, I don't even know if he realizes it, but a lot of his, not just in those, there's other songs that are really poignant and kind of his life in general, and it all comes back and it's introspective. Another great song is Still. That's another Going Gold. And like I said, the tune that, I mean, I could go down the list and just check out his music. It's fucking great. Of course, Karma, which is just came out recently. And if you just dive into Dolo's words, he's really creative, but a lot of his vibe, a lot of his aura, the way he presents himself, his lyrics, his attitude, a lot of that is like parallel with my views on religious spirituality connected experiences. So it really is worth, I don't even know if he knows that, but you could put together a thread of spirituality from at least one song off any album, more than that, but check it out. Okay. Check it out. My good friend Joe Dolo, we're going to have him on here really soon. And I forget, he's been on the show. Just go to whatever platform, search it up. Dolo's been on. I believe he's been on twice. The first time he talks about why he picked the name Joe Dolo. And I forget what it is. But anyway, he's an interesting fucking cat and one of the most generous people I know. Sometimes you go through life, and I just remember, I guess a decade ago now, I was talking about it, but I was really, really down and out. I don't remember having many happy feelings unless they were forced, and I had to really search for a positive vibe, right? And then my good friends at home were always there. I'm not saying I didn't have any friends, but I guess I was a little bit embarrassed, I just I needed work. I was depressed. I was going through a divorce, and at Penny Lane there, and Tyson was relying on me, and just I remember thinking I was so down, and I since Penny Lane is alive, there's no time that I talk about like suicide or suicidal thoughts or I'm not saying I know it. I would never want to let her down, but so I don't want to disrespect the people that have actually put a gun to their head and shit. I had read Theo Fleury's book and stuff. I mean, there's some pretty dark stuff. I was in a dark place, like I said, like suicidal thoughts, maybe, like with again, not to disrespect people who are actually sitting on a cliff, but like I was like, I can't get any lower than this. What about, I was really, really, really down. Like maybe I shouldn't even be here, but I wouldn't have done it. But I just had those thoughts, man. I know what it's like to be real, real down. I owed money. I didn't have anything. And I just kept saying to myself, like, just keep going, going, going. And I got onto the film set as crew and everything else and, spotted work at first and moved away and trying to do what I could to put food on the table. And then, when things started turning around, things would happen and I'd get the role on Shoresy or get to meet Jason Momoa and do some stunts with him. And I remember thinking, if as long as I'm not tripping over my bottom lip here and I'm separating, like no one owes me anything because I'm a first round pick. I've got to fucking pick myself back up, and I'm not going to make the NHL, and I'm fucking got to get over that, which I was kind of over that part of it, and I just got to get out there and if someone on set, I was locations or whatever, if they asked to jump, me to jump, I'm gonna have to say how high and love it. I'm gonna have to fucking do it and get ahead and where I am today is it's the result of a well-oiled machine of karma, good people, positive vibes. And if you weave yourself through all my experiences in the last 10 years or a little bit more, searching for a job outside of hockey, there's certain people I came across that really, really, some more than others, but the vibe, right? Like, yes, getting hired for certain things would get money in my pocket and get me out of that. But it was more than that. It was, I just felt like a religious experience almost. I'm serious, just with an overwhelming sense of positivity when we started Shoresy. And I'm talking about, I mean, there's probably a few outliers if you look at, but really everybody that you see on that set, they're all going to be my friends for life. I'm saying outliers, like maybe on the crew. That's that. Yeah, I'm including everybody when I say like 100 people, like everybody we met in through the show and in Sudbury now, especially the core group that we have that you see us on the show, the girls, the guys that I don't want to list every single person, but all the main characters on Shoresy. I have to think that Jared picks up on that vibe and hires people accordingly. I don't think he wants assholes. I can't speak for him. I don't really know. I know that there's such a feeling of connected positivity through us and Dolo. Maybe it's that I'm with him the most because we're in every scene together. Like I said, I don't know, and we travel together. But it was. I'm not just saying it now because he bought me a fucking Harley. I'm telling you this. I'm trying to. I can't believe this story's 45 minutes long. It could have been 5. But I really did feel like that first day that we were having. We were in the room and having a coffee, and we all went to lunch. Like I really did. I got pictures of it somewhere. I wouldn't have taken my phone. I just remember feeling connected to this guy. Like just he's just a good dude that a lot of his attitudes and his interests mirror those of my friends. So there's karma and then there's fucking karma. To say like, oh, I'll never forget this is an understatement. Just to feel blessed. There you go. To feel the love and positivity from it makes me honestly, it was such a big it was such I was so touched that I thought to myself, and for everybody out there now, there are people that mean a lot to me, and some of them I hadn't talked to in a long time. And I sat down, man, when I was on the plane on the way home, and I didn't know what to do. And all I could think was, I should reach out to some of my good friends that I haven't talked to in a while. That's what hit me. Of all the things, and I know I'll talk to Dolo, and I thanked him and everything, but it was such a powerful move that there are people out there that are good, are real close friends of mine, like Dolo always will be. And it just made me want to feel connected to them. And, sometimes you send a text or a message, but I phoned 3 or 4. I spent the day doing that, going, "Hey, man, how you doing, Mikey? Hey, T-Bone, I haven't talked to you in a while." "Yeah, man, I just wanted to spread the vibe. You know what my buddy just did for me? Yeah, it's unbelievable. Now, how you doing? You know what? We got to get together. Here's where I am. Here's my schedule. I'm all over North America, Mikey. Can we fucking meet up?" And I did that 3 or 4 times, man. It touched me so much. It reminded me to reach out to people that I've shared the same positive vibe with over the years. And I don't know if you call that pay it forward or Buddhism, or I really don't know. All you need is love. There you go. But Penny Lane and I have always said, I mean, I don't want to raise her anti-religious, so it's because I'm not, but it's tough to navigate your way around those waters with a 15-year-old. And, we started talking about it when she was 12 or 13 or maybe even younger. And we came up with this. Penny Lane and I said, well, and I believe it was her, because she was asking me about the 10 Commandments, and I was like, I didn't want to say it to like a 10-year-old or whatever. I'm like, that's bullshit. Fucking, 10 Commandments on a mountain with Moses on a stone. I mean, well, whatever. If you're listening to this and you believe it, it's fine. I don't believe it went down like that, and you could modify these commandments anyway. And I didn't even get to that. I was telling them to her like they were a good thing because it's presented as good, of course. And most of religion is meant to be good and is good and everything else. But I don't think that you need to go by those 10 commandments. You know what we narrowed it down to? She said, you can say 2 things. She said, isn't the point of what Jesus said, do unto others as you want done unto yourself, right? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That part makes sense. And she said, well, that kind of sums it up. And like the Beatles said, all you need is love. This was like a fucking, again, I don't know, a 10-year-old 5 years ago or so. I'm like, yeah. So she said, so do unto others as you want done unto yourself, and all you need is love. I'm like, you know what? That's fucking simplified, but that works. And yeah, I think if you live by that, more good than bad will probably happen. And I'm going to bring it home. You will feel blessed. Thank you, Dolo. Love you, buddy. Thanks for listening, folks. I'm going to be back next week with Normal Tales with TR. We're going to have some guests. I don't know who that's going to be yet. Dolo's going to come on real soon, but we're going to get an awesome hockey player, legend type Hall of Fame style on next week. I'm just not sure exactly which one. And I don't want to put the word out there, but it's going to be awesome. And yes, I feel blessed every fucking day. All of this is a result of karma. So pay it forward. Do whatever you're going to do out there. Be good. All you need is love. Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And of course, feel blessed. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland, and Labrador, folks, check out Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, Green Sleeves, the Martini Bar, of course, the Bull and Barrel. If you're going to go for a bite to eat, why not try out Loose Tie, Blue on Water, Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering. If you're going to work out, strength and balance for the body and mind, why not go to Ryan Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane. There's 2 locations of Mr. Lube here in Newfoundland and Labrador, St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, that is. Torrey Road, Kemah Road, Live, Laugh, Lube, Crown Cabinets, because why not? Muggsy Jeans, I loves me Muggsy Jeans. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community. True Hockey, take what's yours. Folks, we'll be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Thanks for listening. And thank you, Jonathan Diaby, a.k.a. Dolo. See you guys soon.